welcome Star Wars fans to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show we debate
No,
takes
get
so
rid of
hot.
get rid. No, no. Department who makes the fucking graphics, change that
Melt a
now.
planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts Amanda and Brian. And today, aka
Not
Luke,
Brian.
aka Luke, if you are missing the live show, you are missing the frames and everything. So I'm just telling you, you got to go check out the video to see what we're laughing at. Otherwise, it's just confusing. But
Like, comment,
today,
subscribe.
talking about things that are confusing, we are talking about episodes 1 and 2 of Star Wars The Acolyte. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer on where these two pieces of Star Wars content rank amongst the rest. With that, let's go. It's been a week, y'all.
It has.
Lots of Star Wars things have happened.
Hmm.
So,
I actually got to see the first two episodes early.
really?
I went to a fan screening. Yeah. It was
Yesterday?
about no. Last when on Monday night. After work. I
Aren't
got on
you
the
fancy?
parkway. Uh Drove about 45 minutes north and met up with Tommy Stella, the Tommy Stella. He writes comics and works with does stuff
that's
with
so
Star
cool.
Wars and stuff like that. And got my picture taken in front of the Acolyte thing and
That's cool.
got to watch it on Dolby, like really high, like good quality.
Super cool.
So that experience alone, I'm gonna be honest, it was a little weird because you would think like watching Star Wars in a theater, people would be like jazzed up. It was weird. It was really
Yeah.
You
weird.
didn't think
The
what
show
was it just
killed
mild?
the hype.
It didn't kill the hype because it was good.
So did you watch both episodes in theaters or did you just
Yeah.
watch the first one? Okay.
No, I watched both in both episodes in the theater. And I will say watching it in the theater was an experience, but it was a different I guess my expectations were like people were going to be like, "Whoa." But
Mm,
also, I have to remember this is an era that not a lot of people, aka the
the
casuals,
normies.
the normies, yes, the normies. There's nothing wrong with being a normie. Being a normie is
I'm a
just
normie.
I'm a
fine.
normie.
Yeah, that's
Represent.
good. You guys have more of a life than I ever will. So congratulations.
Okay, but you
But
get 3 minutes unadulterated time to tell us what you thought of the first 2 episodes. You're on the clock. Go.
okay. I really enjoyed it. I think the world building, the characters, Soul is great. I think the duality of May and
OSHA?
Osha is interesting. I think it was very bold to bring out the Sith acolyte, whoever that person is, at the end of
Kylo Ren.
episode 1. No, not Kylo Ren. He's dead. He's not alive. He's not even
dead.
in existence.
What?
He's not even he's not even
He's dead
a
because he doesn't exist yet.
yeah. He's not even a tear in his daddy's eye. And I thought that was interesting for the first episode. Having Indira die real early on, crazy. I have a different showrunner, folks would be more open
Who's
to
the
it.
showrunner?
Okay, what do you mean? Okay, here's the problem I have with people going after Leslie Headland. She's a fan, first of all. Second of all, she loves KOTOR. And third, she's bringing in EU stuff. Everything that people don't like about Disney, she's actively bringing into the franchise. So I don't understand why people have a problem with her. And if you want to
1
get down
minute,
to the
20
brass,
seconds.
what?
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Okay, but anyway, that comment can be brought back when I have my turn again. But I really liked. I think it's. And to be honest, I think Star Wars does better when we're outside of the Skywalkers. I think getting a new perspective on things and like that, it was so much fun. The choreography was great. The lighting aspects were a little wonky, but like the story kind of drug in the first episode, but it picked back up in the second. I think there's a reason why screeners were shown 4 episodes and we were only shown 2. I think originally
Mm,
you were supposed to, that the whole thing will make sense once you see the 4 episodes. Like all the gripes will kind, I think
lots
will
of
kind of
belief here.
will iron itself out by the 3rd and 4th episode. So, and Vanessa Rowe is amazing. What's my time?
You have 30 seconds left. I'm really proud of you.
And Kelnaka, he was naked the entire time.
It's like I'm using this time.
Guy literally said in Treewood, "Get off my lawn." Do the
Yeah.
episode of episode 2. It's great. I loved it.
All right, let's break
unpack
down-
that.
Let's unpack this for a second here. So let me get this straight. I mean, what the biggest thing I got out of that was, guys, don't hate it. We don't know everything yet, and there's some cool details that we should like. So let's just chill for a minute.
I mean,
If I
that's
had-
the general way that, like, it's kind of the overall universal disclaimer that all Star Wars fans sort of need to hear before they watch anything.
Do you think so?
I'm looking at Kay's. I'm looking at this comment, and I really just want to unpack that for a second. Can I?
Yeah, read it
please?
out loud.
Okay. Yeah, for Star Wars, she knows that people can't stand her politics and who she worked for, but I prefer to judge the show for itself, not her. I get that, but then your comment before it doesn't make sense. So that whatever.
Indar
That's
will
fine.
be back in flashbacks. Which
That's
one?
fine. That's fine. That's fine. But here's the thing. That it's not. Yeah. I'm. My whole thing is that fans who are saying that there's an agenda forget that Star Wars is a political franchise. It's in the fucking name. Come on. It's
Okay.
Star Wars. That's all I'm saying.
Star politics.
Star,
Star fake
Senate.
news.
But literally though, it's you can't have a war with two differing sides.
Okay. So, but again, your biggest point of why you liked it was because you're not allowed to dislike it yet. That's the
No,
vibe I'm getting.
no, you can dislike it. You can absolutely dislike it, but a lot of the
Okay.
hate is not real criticism, just like everything else that's been Star Wars.
Yeah.
crap,
Okay.
apparently.
Okay, that's fair. But for you, give me one reason why. Now, your numbers aren't great, by the way. So I'm not saying you love it. The first episode, you gave it a 74%.
Yeah.
Not stellar.
That's good.
It wasn't like my thing it's having to do a lot of explaining to people that haven't done a lot of reading, which I feel like is tough. But here's the other thing. I also I think this is the perfect starting point for somebody that is brand spanking new to Star Wars. You don't
That's
need
fair.
to have a whole bunch of knowledge. If you want to go back and listen and read these books, all of that resource is there. That's optional. You
Yeah.
don't have to do all of that research. That's the point.
That's
what I
what's
mean?
really exciting about this storytelling is that it is officially on its own. And I'm really interested to see what the demographics are of people that are long time legacy fans of Star Wars versus oh, I just kind of got into The Mandalorian and I've had Disney Plus, so I've just been kind of watching all the stuff on here. I'm curious to see how many are kind of newer fans that are just
No.
this is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Well, if you go back in, at least on Star Wars Explains live stream with Christina Ariel, who does the High Republic show and does all that. They had her on to talk about the High Republic, and her husband isn't she works with Star Wars. She works for Lucasfilm, does all these things. Her husband isn't into Star Wars, and he sat down and watched the first 2 episodes and was like, "What is this? Is this Trinity?" That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
getting people in there.
All right. Well,
Also, Kay, I'm
Interesting.
sorry, I misunderstood your comment. I didn't mean to come at you like that. I get
He's
what you're saying now.
referring to KG.
I've had a day. I'm
No,
sorry.
no one can attack KG. She's literally the
No,
goat. The
no,
goat who
no.
will not unmute though. Like I will call out that one point. We've asked her on the show. She's always watching, ever present, but Batman never steps forward into the light. All right, Amanda, you are on the clock with 2 minutes and 58 seconds.
Okay, I
Go.
hope that my feed doesn't get interrupted. I've been a little glitchy here, but I'll just keep rolling. So I really enjoyed these episodes. I like the fact that the Jedi Trinity the Jedi is the first one that dies in like kind of the first 5 minutes. I think that's an exciting way to lead into the story and subvert expectations. And I like that it seems to be setting up a pattern that these 4 Jedi that have wronged May, it seems like each episode in the first 4 are going to be attacked, like taking care of those assassinations. Um, I thought Amanda's performance at times was a little like breathy, panic attack heavy, which, like, yes, I understand that she's experiencing all these things, but just something that I noticed. I love all of the droids feeling very nostalgic, but like new and futuristic still. I loved all of the different species and diversity of aliens and humanoids. And I also loved the casual use of the force, like people just using it in so many more unique ways. I love seeing force pushing again. It's weird that like that's kind of not used anymore. So
Yeah, it's
I'm really
scarcely
excited.
used. You're
I'm
absolutely right
excited.
there.
And then like kind of her jumping up the stairs, and
Yeah.
I love the expression of the force used in these first couple episodes. Let's see, I still have another minute left. The music, high marks, which I believe it is like somebody different. I
Who is
believe
it?
he did. I don't remember right now, but I'm not going to look it up during while the time is running.
Ooh.
I'll
So
look it
we'll
up.
circle back
keep
to
talking.
that.
You keep talking.
I did really like the what is it called? The vow.
The Bearish Vow.
Vow. I loved bringing that into the world and having like
Especially
someone
because
in a
that
meditative state, like totally protected, and also how the Jedi, like he ends up taking the poison anyway to kill himself because he realizes he was in the wrong. So I'm really curious. The Jedi seem very cop-like in this era of the Jedi.
That's a good take.
And I feel like even what's his name, Torben or Yorby, whatever.
Torben. Or
No, Yorb. He's
Yord.
very, I wrote trigger happy. He's like always reaching
Oh,
kind of for his
yes.
like, and it's just an interesting way to see how I think we get a great example of a Jedi Master, a Jedi Knight, and a Padawan all working together. That's like a really cool, unique setup. So there's all the things that I really enjoyed about it.
I will say this. Amanda, I agree with you on all those points. Yord, and the reason why Yord, I didn't really vibe with him the first time around when I watched it, was because he is too much what the prequel Jedi are. And that's the point. That's the point. Because we are supposed to, by the end of this show, however long it is, we're supposed to get to the point where we are looking at the Jedi like we do in the prequels. How do they get to that point where it's in the High Republic, you see them being more understanding about attachment, understanding about all these other things, and getting to the dogmanation of what they are in the prequels. And that's perfect.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. I think personally, I think the music's fine. There's nothing really that stands out to me. Also, the composer is Michael Abels. And looking up the works he's been a part of, there's not really anything really of note here. I guess Get Out, that film in 2017, is the first thing he's a part of.
And this not Get Out, but it was another key.
Nope.
Yeah, Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Those were 2 really well acclaimed films. At least Get Out was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
Get Out had that. Yeah. I hear you. I don't
Everything
agree
goes
with
to
you.
music with Brody, though.
What's that?
Have you noticed that? Like on a lot of things, like your first comment is either the music is good or bad.
Mm,
Really think about it though.
it's one of two
Mhm.
things with me.
Book of Boba Fett.
Banger.
Okay. Obi-Wan missed because it didn't have the Imperial March and because they roped in Duel of the Fates in the trailer. And then when you
Wait, what was
finally
that?
got it in the last episode, you were like, finally I get what I want. This
That's never something I said.
what you hated Natalie Holt's well, and it wasn't even Natalie Holt the entire time. She's the main person, but it also wasn't. But like I get it. I get why you're so big on the music because it is. Like the
Music
music
is a
of John Williams.
character in the Star Wars
It
galaxy.
no, it is well, it is
Mhm.
in a lot of franchises. Look at E.T.
Mhm.
Look at Jaws. Look at Lord of the Rings. Like there
Yeah.
are themes throughout all of those franchises that we put with characters.
But you know who you
And
don't do that in? The Acolyte.
what? Well, I think it's because they're also dealing with a new, like I've been saying, they're dealing with a new era. Like you
Mhm.
don't need to put
You
in the
don't want to
force
hear the
tuning.
exact same motifs that you heard all throughout the
Exactly.
other
You
things, but it still
don't?
feels
You do.
so
She's
Star
trying to reach
Warsy.
for it, and she's reaching for her little droid friend, and that's a perfect moment for like maybe just a little hint that doodaloo doodaloo,
It's
just
because
hinting at the Force theme.
it like it goes back to the whole point. It's a new Star Wars. There's not it doesn't we don't need John Williams's thing blasted in our face all
No,
the
that's fine.
time.
We don't have to
We
have
gotta
John
be
Williams think. It's just
original.
like let's make something, yeah, originable. I make up words. Let's make up all new Star Wars shows and all new words. I'm just saying,
It-
if we're going to make something new, let's also make it memorable. That's my only point.
I, I think
I loved it.
that
I felt like it enhanced the experience. It brought in these like sort of like drums into some of the fighting combat, but also I don't know. I think you need next time pay attention to it more. I don't think you were in it enough.
and I will say this. Throughout the first two episodes, there were hints to like attack. Like there were some compositions from Attack of the Clones that were also in there. And all this, like there were stuff. It's just very, um, uh,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to say on Amanda's
I
stance?
I
Of
agree with it.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are
All
you gonna
right.
keep your own time?
Well, I get 8 minutes.
No,
Isn't that?
I've got you for a minute and a half right now.
Well,
Okay.
Amanda,
I think we should.
going
I,
for 3. We all get 3.
I think it should be.
All right,
All
gate
right, go, go,
started.
go. All right. Story wise, listen, the story was unbelievably predictable and fine. I sat next to my wife who didn't even watch the second episode. At the very end of the second episode, she wakes up, the bag the bag lady. I was like, yeah. She's like, is it a? She has a twin. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. They reunite at the end, don't they? I'm like, yeah. She's like, predictable. Walks upstairs. I'm like, yeah. Character wise, we're just like kind of indifferent. Whatever happens, happens. It doesn't leave us wanting more. Listen, that's not the character's fault. It's because Disney doesn't know how to freaking write a TV show. They take these movies and that instead of making this episodic thing that makes you want to come back every week, it's like you're better off waiting till it all comes out and binging it. Every single person that watches a Star Wars show is like, it's so much better when I get to watch the whole thing from A to Z. Of course, it's written like a movie. That's like, I have no idea, but they just fail time and time again at writing for TV shows. Maybe this story's great. Character wise, I'm just not bought in. Maybe it'll be great in the end. Not bought in now. Technical aspects, I have no idea why. I don't know if it's lighting or what, but man, this is really grainy, which is interesting because Ahsoka and a lot of other shows looks fantastic. And there's just some like, look, just lighting and coloring options that you're just, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if it's overly compressed, but it doesn't seem like watching it on 4K. It leaves some stuff to be desired. That said, what it does well, it does really, really well. That meaning, Like the action sequences, wow, felt like I was watching The Matrix all over again. Loved any fight scene with someone that's either with a lightsaber, without a lightsaber, this hand-to-hand combat, someone dodging. They nailed it and loved it. Music, I've already jumped into that. It's just fine. The immersive universe, this is Star Wars. I left those 2 episodes feeling like this, even though we're going into something new, it feels familiar. The cutaways, the little, like, how it
Yeah,
swipes from left to right, the
agreed.
story, the way it was structured, and jumping on this hero's journey yet again, but from a new angle, the Parent Trap, it was cool. So overall, it was enjoyable. I gave the first episode a 64.4% and a 61.6% for the second one. Look, they're fun, but they're also just fine. By the end of it, maybe there's something really amazing here that it just turns up the dial. I'm going to keep coming back. I'm interested. But if I weren't doing this podcast and I had a busy week the next week, it's a very high likelihood that I would probably fall off the rails unless I waited for the entire thing to come out and watch it over the course of 2 days.
All right. Okay. First of all,
First of all,
you know-
great timing.
yeah, that too. Let's give a round of applause. Round of applause. Good job.
You
All right.
practiced.
First point. You're right in a sense, but I don't. You're right for the sense. You're missing the mark, but you are right. The reason why it feels like that is because it all started with a little thing called Netflix. Netflix was the downfall of original TV. When you were able to get all episodes of a show at the palm of your fingertips and not have to wait week to week, that week to week died. That's the problem. It's not the writing. I don't think
But
it's
yet
the
they
writing.
they still release week to week.
It's
Here's the
week
thing.
to week.
Well, then they shouldn't release weekly.
But they want to because
Well,
people will still watch regardless.
Then they gone messed up.
What do they though? Do the numbers show that they messed up?
Yes. Their reviews, it is tanking.
We all know why it's.
Yeah,
we all
I
know
don't
why.
like.
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
buy-
If
I don't buy-
The average person who knows nothing about Star Wars checks on these numbers and they're like, trash, I'll go watch something else.
New
Like,
New
that's
York,
how
New York.
competitive this media landscape is.
No, but I'm not gonna trust Schmo No, who literally doesn't have any background in TV or has anything to do with the business.
Schnomo.
I don't want all these people. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, all of those, how many of those are reliable people? How many people
Okay,
know what
I
they're
also
talking
don't even
about?
really understand where like the woke stuff is coming from. Maybe it's because
Neither
like
do I.
I've not seen
I
any of that.
do not. I'm
Neither
not
have
on
I.
Twitter anymore, so like I have a life.
I've
Sorry,
not
No,
checked
agreed.
in
but
on any of that.
No,
I'm
like-
literally going off the show alone
yeah,
and the reviews that just the number reviews. I haven't jumped into why people are tanking it, but
No, it's literally because they don't like that.
they just like to hate.
They
just
don't like
want to
that
be
Leslie.
contrived.
They don't like that Leslie Headland is gay. That's literally what it is. That's
Also, there's a
it for some
comment here
people.
that
Dumb.
says from Star Wars Lawyer, it says releasing everything at once kills the longevity of a show and a cultural landscape. I can't disagree more with that. I mean, just look at the numbers that you brought up previously within Netflix alone, and shows like Stranger Things that did change. Like people don't, and then the last season of Stranger Things excluded, where they released like the first 80% of it, and they're like, all right, the last 2 or 3, 4, you got to wait. But binging and dropping it all at once did prove prior to The Mandalorian to do very, very, very well, including things like Friends, where like it had its time, and then once it got brought into Netflix, boom, came back, people binging. I think the
Another
more people
example of that is Peaky Blinders, which they would was
Yeah.
like a mini series that they would drop all at once, and we had to learn how to like curb our appetite and be like, okay, I don't want to burn through it so fast, so like let's try to only watch 2
Yeah.
episodes.
Well, here's the thing.
Also, I'll love the Star Wars Layer. No hate on my end. Did like one of the best cosplays last year at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Just don't agree
Yeah.
with the take.
Well, I will say this for Star Wars, and I have believed this for the longest time. If you are not going to give me a 3-hour cut of a film in the Star Wars universe, then make it a TV show. Star Wars, that's the complaint. Revenge of the Sith would be so much better if it was a 3-hour cut. That has been some people's takes, and I tend to agree with it. They left a lot on the cutting room floor for that movie. Okay. 2, Rise of Skywalker. Could have been a 3.5-hour movie. Would have been a ton better.
I
Okay.
wish. Oh, I
No,
wish.
but
That's
like,
one of
do
the
you-
few
no,
movies
but
that
the-
I'm like, if it was longer, it would
No,
have been
but
better.
but do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're not restricted. The only reason why we haven't seen a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
Like, because people were getting burnt out. Like, you think burnout for a TV show is bad? Look at what we
Burnout
haven't
and
gotten.
those reviews were trash. Like,
Well,
people
and
did
that
not
too.
like that
And I agree.
trilogy.
Keigi's right. It was rushed. It was rushed because they wanted to adhere to the fans that didn't like Last Jedi,
Mhm.
and they fell on their face. I tend to love The Rise of Skywalker. It's my favorite sequel movie because it makes the most cohesive sense to me. But I would still want a 3.5-hour cut. I want more Finn stuff.
Yeah.
I want
Mhm.
more Rose stuff. They sidelined so many characters because they were rushing a script that I don't think was really complete. But I
So,
digress.
Brody, you talked about like not like jiving with the characters, and I think that that's sort of to be expected when you start a new show from scratch. Like, it's just going to take like a couple episodes to
Yep.
understand everybody, but I think the building blocks for a really great ensemble cast are here. And
Mhm.
like, I love the aspect. Soul seems like he's kind of hiding something, like he has a dark
I
secret.
I
And then
I
also
think Atlantis
Yorb
is
also seems kind of sketchy, but I love the aspect of we have like the different like generations of Jedi there, and
Yep.
then somebody who did she leave the Jedi or was she not accepted into the Jedi? Osha?
She was trained, but she says it in episode 2. She was just like, I just can't. I just
I don't know.
couldn't.
It seems ambiguous.
She
She was
walked
like, it
away.
just wasn't the right
From
thing.
what it sounds like, because she says that I walked away from this. This was my choice.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an Ahsoka part of it, but it's like
Mhm.
she saw the writing on the wall. Like, I am not going to be what Master Soul needs me to be. Like, I'm not living up to those expectations. So I'm going to take a step back and go off. Like, and that's a theme. Ahsoka left of Order too. I feel like those two characters are a little connected, and I feel like people can really connect with Osha. And I agree. See, here's the point. That's why I said when the people that got the screeners, they saw 4 episodes.
Mhm.
There has to be a reason for that.
Yeah.
Because if it with your
Makes
and
sense.
this is the thing. I kind of agree. If you want to do if you're giving screeners out for 4 episodes, then you should probably release 4 episodes to everybody else.
Or at least release 3 and 4 at the same time next week.
No, I agree. Because if that's the case, like, I've already seen people not complain, but like talk about episode 3, and they say that something big happens in episode 3. And I swear to God, if people complain about that stupid white light whip, by the way, that thing is cool as hell.
Hell yeah.
And Vanessa Rowe, she's cool as hell. Actually, I have a thing about Vanessa Rowe. Her acting, it's very, very different because she's introduced in a book and she's 16 in those books. And that's set 150 years before this. So she's around 142 years old, I think it is, because she's 16.
Dang, she looked
And
good.
and she's a Mary Ellen, which is the same species, same humanoid species as Luminara and Barris.
Okay.
So they age longer,
Mhm.
right? Her showing up and being really different was interesting to me.
Mm.
Soul, I could talk about that character for hours. He is Qui-Gon Jinn.
Mhm.
And the fact that they were like, yeah, he's a Qui-Gon Jinn type of character. He's gone.
Yeah, he
He's
gonna
gone.
die.
Yeah, no way. And like the other thing, like Kelnaka, she's going after Kelnaka. There goes another Wookiee Jedi that I absolutely love. That's great. Thanks for killing that one.
Okay, I want to talk
Ugh.
about that real quick. The Kalnaka thing at the very end of episode
Oh, I
2,
loved it. It was so
which
funny.
I
Ah,
actually found it very jarring. Like, I
that's
knew
fair.
that the episode was shorter than the first one, and so the episode's going on, and then I see that we jump to another planet, and I'm like, where, like, how are we going to keep this episode going? And then it ends sort of on this like kind of fun cliffhanger. I personally think it should have been cut without that and opened with the other one, but I imagine that they're going to, this is my prediction, is they're going to open up next week's episode with May trying to infiltrate and assassinate the Wookiee Jedi, because it seems like every
Kelnaka,
episode
yeah.
has started like
Yep.
that so far.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. And we've seen a little bit of that. A lot of the trailer actually showed flashback, believe it or not. Um,
I'm so
I
glad I didn't really watch or analyze the trailer, because I was able
yeah,
to really just like fall into it. The world building and the immersive universe of it all is like truly 10
it's
times like
top
the
tier. It's
best
top tier.
like Star Wars experience since Canto Bight.
Also, really liked the Nemoidians not having that stupid accent.
Yes.
It was
Hmm.
it was so nice. And then I see people. Well, I mean, it could have been more canonically. Like, shut up. We all know why they
Who are the
sounded the way they
Nemoidians?
sounded. The Nemoidians were the Trade Federation. They're
Oh
the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They
Why did they not hug it like this?
there is a reason for that. We don't need to get into it, but there is a reason for that. But anyway,
Sir,
and
they went down the
and go,
ventilation shaft.
also, Amanda, did you see? Well, Emily and Brody, did you see the Zygerian Padawan? Yord's Padawan?
Oh
She's
yeah.
a Zygerian.
Oh.
And the
Hmm.
No, I didn't.
Zygerians historically hate the Jedi. Like
Mm.
throughout.
Huh.
They sided with the Sith a lot because they are slave traders, and the Sith
Yikes.
have their things and do all those things. So seeing a Zygerian Jedi is very, very rare. It's almost as rare as seeing a Mandalorian Jedi. Like those kind of go
Mm.
hand in hand, and they're not really in the same vein.
That's
So that
cool.
was interesting as well. So like that like the immersive and also the universe as
Yeah.
itself telling a story like
Mhm.
that, I think that's crazy. And the fact that she was just like, I want to see a Zygerian Jedi. Here we go. And and the
Look,
Yeah.
and,
there's no doubt the immersive universe stuff for this show.
yeah,
It's there. Like
yeah.
I'm not like going toe to
No,
toe with anyone on that. For
no.
me and for people I know that watched it that do not pay attention to the hate online, it has more to
Yeah,
do with the just predictable and boring as far as the story goes. When I
that's
think
fair.
of shows out the gate that have you hooked, I'm always gonna go back to that first episode of Lost where it's just like someone needs to teach, like J.J. Abrams needs to teach a master class on how to open a show.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
don't let him
Nothing
do a
else.
close.
Yeah,
Don't
nothing else.
bring him
Nothing
out.
else. No,
Bring out the guy that's the Mets closer who has the
yeah, something else. Yeah,
yeah.
JJ,
Bring
he is
him out.
not a closer, but to start a
No.
game, like he's got that pregame, like he's gonna get all the fans hyped. Like JJ's the guy at a sports arena that's gonna be like, there's gonna be the perfect intro video. The
Yeah.
national anthem's gonna get sung in a way you've never heard it before. It's gonna get everyone so hyped. And the first play of the game ends with like it's some player's last game of their career and ends on a dunk on the biggest guy on the court. Like that's the kind of thing JJ Abrams offers in the beginning where you're just like, what am
But
I
isn't that
watching?
predictable?
Is that predictable? It's not likely. I'll show
Oh.
you a lot of great players' last games, and it's not great for the most part. Unless you're Kobe Bryant, in which case you're going to shoot 55 shots to get 60 points. Don't tell me that was a great game. That's also cap. Anyway,
Michael Jordan.
lots of great players in the end should have just hung it up, is the point. But my thing here, J.J. Abrams, there was with Lost so many characters. You didn't try to dive too deep into the character story in the beginning. It was like, here's the situation, and we're gonna have this mystery box format, and it's just gonna blow your mind. Breaking Bad, very similar. And so, look, not hooked. That's okay. The story can get
Yeah.
better. but as it
That's fair.
stands right now, there's a lot left to be desired. But it feels very Star Wars, which honestly for
Absolutely.
me this is the first time I felt this way since I'm like, wow, I didn't even feel that way about Obi-Wan. Like, this is the first time since watching The Rise of Skywalker that I feel like I'm watching. Maybe honestly, this feels the first time I've watched something really Star Wars related since like Rogue One, Force Awakens, that time
Mm,
frame.
Ah.
Everything else for me feels
it
like a
does.
departure, and this is new stuff. This feels like George Lucas was around for this, right? Like this is around prequel time. Like even with the
To hear
graininess, was this filmed in 2005? Like, all right, I'm here
to
for it.
hear you say that and then just watch people online bitch about that it's nothing like George is
Yeah, so funny.
hilarious.
I have no
It's
idea what people
so
online are
funny.
saying at all. And
Good
this,
idea. Just stay away from it because it's nothing but bullshit rhetoric and it's the same shit that we see with every new Disney Star Wars project.
So
It's hilarious.
I do want to ask a question to you guys and to the listeners. What it seems like the story is setting up for these twins to be somewhat of a dyad in the Force, similar to what we saw
hmm.
Kylo and Rey, Ben and Rey. Um, and my question is, do you think that a dyad in the Force is a prophecy or a phenomenon? As in, like, it is foretold, or it's just like uh everything has
What
to
did you
be
smoke
aligned
before this?
perfectly.
This is
I
so
think it's
deep.
I think no, that's a
Hold
good
on.
question.
It's very, very deep.
I don't think they're a dyad. One.
Okay.
I think they have a force connection because there is a specific, not a specific, but a dyad is something that doesn't happen like Palpatine says in The Rise of Skywalker. That hasn't happened in a millennia or how in a
Generation.
generations.
Generations are like every 50 years.
A generation? Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 25.
Really? Is it really
Mm,
that?
yeah.
I honestly, a dyad in the Force is very like it's really rare, and there's only been one. Well,
20
two
to 30
technically.
years. I was right in the middle.
So technically there's been two, in a way. Well, at least
That
Palpatine
we
thought
know
him
of.
to know that we know of. I think it's more likely that they have a Force connection because they are siblings, not because they are a dyad.
Have
If
we
that makes any
seen
sense.
OSHA use the Force yet? I don't know if I think KG said that, yeah, OSHA hasn't appeared to have the Force yet. She was like reaching out for her pip. I'm
Well,
sure something will come
she's a
around.
former Jedi, so we have to be under the assumption that she has used the Force before.
Right, right.
So like Soul says, like when Yord's like really like she's the one, and he's like she hasn't traded in 6 years, dipshit. Like
Yeah, she's not a
you're really
threat.
gonna like she's not a threat. So I still think and she's getting visions. She's seeing
Mm,
visions
Yeah.
from
yeah.
OSHA, and the Force is allowing itself. Well, not allowing itself. It's showing her that connection to her sister.
Mhm.
Because we don't know what like a true definition of a dyad is. We don't have it slammed in our face what it actually is. Like it doesn't have a definition per se. It's very enigmatic. Like
Mhm.
it's not set in stone.
Mhm.
So maybe they are a dyad. Who knows? But I see it as more as a force connection than a dyad because I feel like yes, are they the light and the dark? They are symbols of light and dark. That's for sure. They get that qualification of being in the dyad, of being a dyad. But I think there's more to it than that, especially because OSHA thought that she was dead for 16 years,
Mhm.
and that sibling.
And
It's
May
almost
did
like
too.
well, yeah, exactly, yeah, May did too, and it's like that. Well, I mean, think about it as like a twin in real life. You guys can like they can sense. Like there
Mhm.
are times where a twin can sense when their sibling is like in mourning or hurting or something like
Mhm.
that. Like it's that bond. You know what I mean? So I don't think
Mhm.
it's a diet. I think it's a force connection. But I definitely think that it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like if it turned
Yeah.
out that they had a forced diet, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. I could see it.
Should we go into the hot take segment? Can you see that? Can we see it happening in our future, or do we have to wait 20, 30 years to get into this last segment?
No.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It's hot takes time. And Amanda, I think you've got the hottest take of the day.
Oh, I do.
Let's jump into it.
Let's see. The what's the guy's name? Keimer? The guy that works in the apothecary that like helps
Oh
May.
yeah.
We haven't really talked about him, which I love him
Yeah.
in The Good Place.
Yeah.
But he has this like a very similar bone structure to Adam Driver, so I was kind of like, oh my god, what if this is like some type of Adam
Solo
Driver?
character.
Yeah, I
Just-
know, right? Like,
Just Han Solo's like great
yeah.
granddaddy.
That's what I was hoping for.
Oh no.
I don't know.
You didn't have a take at all.
Okay,
opposite of
my
a hot
take
take.
is okay, here's my hot take. I think the worst part of the whole 2 episodes, you ready for this?
You better not say it.
Is the inexcusable that the potion was a neon green. Like that is so unoriginal. Like, oh, you made a poison that's gonna kill someone and it's like retroactive glowing green. Like, wow, you couldn't make it look like any other color. Like, why didn't you make it like glittery and like orange, but also iridescent so it like changes in the light or something? Like, where's the creativity? Come on, Disney.
Time out. This is what happens when we don't prepare our hot takes.
No! And with that,
You fool! Your take is milk toast.
but can we like take a second to acknowledge like I really want to say, because Amanda got so passionate going into football for a second, it's kind of like the entire offensive line just like died around you. And you were like, you were running back, and you kept evading people. And I'm like, oh man, like you're in your own end zone now. You went like 40 yards the wrong way, but you keep dodging people. And I'm like, is she? And then like 8 dudes at one time just like tackled you. But like before that, I was like, oh, maybe there's something here.
See, here's the thing, right? Amanda came in hot with that dyad question. And I thought
I prepared that way.
That was so good on the fly because
Yeah,
a lot of people will have that take for sure that they're a dyad or they have a force connection.
Amanda's
so like
wall looks
bringing
like
that in.
neon green glitter.
Oh, unoriginal, Amanda.
It does though.
Come on.
Look at the wall. I don't know what lighting's going
know
on
what?
in there, but it kind of looks like the potion.
I'll give you a hot take right now. I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now.
Like sparkly.
The choreography in this show is better than anything in the prequel trilogy.
Stop it, you
It is.
blasphemer.
It is more. It's more.
You
It's more. It's more.
blasphemer.
It's more. It's
you
more. It's more.
incompetent fool.
Sir, don't make me do it. I will.
Oh.
You're done, sir. You are done. Anyway, let me say my piece though. I think it's more beautifully choreographed. It's not as janky as like they're not just swinging to swing. Like seeing May versus Indira in the first half, like the hand-to-hand combat specifically is better than anything that we've seen in the prequels. Hand-to-hand combat. I will say if the lightsabers, if the lightsaber fights that we are thinking are going to happen are that well choreographed, the prequels are in trouble because that choreography was like watching a dance, like literally watching like the dive, dip, and Soul's actor killed it, absolutely killed it. I think the Acolyte is going to have better choreographed fights than anything in the prequel trilogy. And that's coming from a person that says that Battle of the Heroes is one of the best fight scenes in all of cinema. So that's where I'm going with this one.
I actually agree.
Of course you do. You didn't watch the prequels. You got into the sequels. There's no nostalgia baked in there. You're just like,
I mean,
you're just like, screw 'em.
Sure.
Wait. Time out. You're talking to the person that lived through the prequels. And
No, I'm
I'm
talking to her.
saying this.
I'm
I
Oh.
know, but like I'm agreeing. But I like.
because you love
I
Disney Star
like
Wars.
how
You
much
were
the
birthed
Force
into
gets
this with
used
Disney
in
as your
this.
parents.
What'd you say?
You were birthed into this with Disney as your parents. I had Daddy George.
Oh my God. And was Daddy George's Star Wars not original trilogy? Let's be honest with ourselves here. The prequels, not very good movies. I think we can all agree on that.
I think what you're saying though is something that I touched on in my like monologue, which is the way that the Force is used in fighting is harkens back to some of the prequels when they would do like more flips and like jumps and stuff like that, which I want to see more of. That made the prequel fighting interesting. And to what Luke's hot take is, I think this is going to take it even further because now they have even better choreography and things at their disposal to make better fight scenes. So I think this is on track. I agree.
That's 2 out of 3. So
You're getting no matter what, you're getting the Roger.
No.
But
Yeah,
it's happening. I'll
good.
acknowledge you're gonna get the soundbite.
Okay, but
Amanda's-
here's the thing, Brody.
I
Like
didn't even say
you
what
can
you said.
you can tell me to eat my words if it doesn't live up to it, but I have a very good feeling about this that it's going to live up to my hot take. So if anybody wants to clip this, go ahead, clip it now.
So I want this show to be great all around, right? And honestly, I'm going to say this. I bet when I say nobody wants that more than me, I'm going to bet I am probably fall into a very small percentage of Star Wars fans that want this to be good. Just by looking at stuff online, I do think the people who hate Star Wars the most are Star Wars fans.
Oh, absolutely. That's not a hot take. That's
So-
like pure knowledge.
For that reason, I think I do fall into a small group of people that actually wants this thing to be better than the prequels and the stories
Yeah,
to get better and grow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm with wanting it. Now, and I'll praise this. I think back to in that first episode when she says because she pulls out her lightsaber, and then when the evil twin looks at her and he's like, a Jedi never pulls out a weapon unless they plan to kill.
Mhm.
Which was really interesting. And I thought that was
That's
a cool
a good
detail
point. It's a good point.
because she's like, oh crap, yeah, I don't aim to kill you. So that's why they're all defensive and dodging and like not actually striking it. Compare that to episode 3 when like they're always just
Well,
pulling out
that's
lightsabers every 2 seconds.
that's the whole point, Brody.
Yeah, and I'm with that.
There you
I'm
go.
with it. I agree.
Okay.
I think that's awesome. My only thing with that, outside of everything else, to say it's already better. Now you did backtrack. You started.
No,
by
I
saying
did.
it's
I did.
better,
I did. I
and
did.
then
I
you
did. I did
backtracked to say it's
backtrack
better
to
hand-to-hand
combat.
Agreed. There's not much hand-to-hand combat in the prequels, but
No.
from what there is, like you pretty much have like Obi-Wan and Jango Fett, those kinds of things. Like there's not a whole lot of hand-to-hand combat. So for that, absolutely agree, on board, great. Well, I guess we'll just have
Play
to
that
see for the rest.
soundbite.
Oh, I have to play something.
Come on,
All right,
buttons.
Come
I
on,
wasn't.
Buttons.
And then it says Roger. That's funny. That's good timing. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I've completely derailed everything today.
I honestly.
Do you have a hot take, Brody?
Do you have one?
do-
I came up with that one on the fly.
Here's my thing. This show I think, I mean, I'm going into prediction territory here. I think this is going to be a mediocre show when it's all said and done. But I think it's going to mark a very important event in the Star Wars timeline where you say, remember that Acolyte show? And everyone's like, no. And then someone's be like, yeah, it never got greenlit for a second season. People are like, oh, okay. That thing. Here's my thing. When this is all said and done, we're going to have a slew of good movies and some shows and some really great things over the next decade. Because I think we're at the end of this supply chain era of Disney that they're like just pushing out shows like Model Ts in the 1920s and 30s, just getting stuff out there to get it out there, just forcing content down our throats. But we're now at the end of that supply chain. There's not much left. Disney's going to pull back, and I think we're going to get some really great bangers over the next 10 years. So this is the end of the mediocrity. That's my hot take.
I think that's
I-
pretty milquetoast.
I think that's milquetoast too. But can I just say, remember when I said that it did numbers? Do you want to know what the numbers were for its
Yeah.
debut? 4.8 million viewers. That's
Okay.
the big in the first 24 hours. 4.8 million viewers. That's the biggest Disney Plus premiere
Which is
of
great.
this year.
Which is great. The numbers do not support returning viewership, but we'll see. We'll come back and we'll find out.
We'll see. I mean, there's always a dip. There's always a dip. People will always tune into the first two episodes or first episode. Like that's common knowledge. Retention is the toughest thing. But
Yep.
like 4.8, you can't say it's tanking. 4.8 million people watched it. Come
There
on
was
now.
curiosity. The marketing team did their job.
Yeah,
There
but
were
I
butts
also
and
feel like
seats.
I also feel like they over promoted as well. Like there's something. It might have been a bait and switch in the editing bay for that trailer, but I felt like they released a lot of things. But that's
I
just me.
only watched that first trailer. So when I went and I watched one review online, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I expected this to happen, and this and this and this and this." I'm like, "Why did you dive that deep?"
Yeah,
like,
that's
"Oh,
how
yeah, I
that's
knew that."
how I am. So I can just like let it happen to me.
And that's
Yeah,
that's probably the better way
that's
of doing it.
normie core.
But let's be real here. I'm gonna try to watch as much as I can so I can get as much information I can.
No,
I
and
know
I'm
where this
I'm
I know where
glad
this
that
is
you're a
going.
super fan, so that way, like, when I am like, "Wait, what is this?" You can explain why it's so much cooler because it
Yeah.
goes so much deeper than that, and I'm
Well,
like,
and
"What?
it's
That's so dope."
well, in the fact that, and it's like I love the fact that there are people that have no idea like what the High Republic is, and I love the fact that they are now going to be like, hey, if you like this so much, you can go and read and listen to it from a. I love, and here's the other thing. This is what I'll probably end on because we're getting close to an hour and my dog's being annoying as heck. I love the fact that this era started with an initiative for books. Think about that. It was
Mhm.
initiative for books in 2020. And it's done successfully on that side that they thought, hey, I think it's time for us to do a TV show. Get this into live action. And let's be real here, people, for those fans that are and those listeners that are out there screaming about how Leslie Hemlin doesn't know anything about Star Wars. Okay, that's fine. But just wait. She might be doing the Knights of the Old Republic. She's shown interest in that. She's played KOTOR. She's done all these things. So just keep that in mind when you say she doesn't know Star Wars. But anyway, I like that it came from an initiative of books. And now here we are 4 or 5 years later, and they're live action. And I think the possibility of that is going to be interesting because I think if you're able to get a fan base to read and listen to content, like I feel like the hardest marketing standpoint is books because you have podcasts, you have
Everyone wants to watch the series right away. Like we have short attention spans.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so like that long form content, like it, like if you read the sequel trilogy books, there's so much more content in those books, and that's why I prefer the books over some of the movies, because you get more inner dialogue, you get more intermingling with the characters. But like seeing something that started as an initiative go all the way to the live action, it's amazing. Just goes to show, if you put it out there, people will watch.
If you build it, they will come. They may not
Yes.
stay, but they're gonna
They may
come see
not,
it.
but that's
But
okay.
hopefully they do, and hopefully this show just
And they'll
becomes
write bad
amazing.
reviews about it.
Eh,
See, that is BS though. And as someone who wants Rings of Power season 2 to be great, I
I haven't talked to you about Tommy B. How do you feel about that? So you're on the same page I am. All right, that's for a different day.
a
All
different day
right,
of
no,
a different
no.
podcast.
Yeah, no.
Old Tom Bombadil, ring ding a dillo. That's the end of this Duel of the Ranks, but we'll see all you fellows next week on another episode, maybe one or two. But all these things to say, we bid you adieu. Dropping bars, folks. This is Duel of the Ranks. This has been a lot of fun. I have been Brody. He's Luke. She's Amanda. And we'll see you guys next week for another review of Star Wars The Acolyte. You know what to do. Google